This guy can defeat Mike Tyson with one punch. No cap. Look at this guy eating alone. Resembles your regular Valentine's Day? Actually, this skinny geek is Casey Davies. A French couple enters and sits down not far from him, drinking regular coffee and whining that it's not espresso. Europeans. They play a game where they imagine what kind of person Casey is. A guy with a slight erection. No wonder the French are considered the rudest Europeans. That's not me. Statistics. I didn't write this line, don't cancel me. Casey gets in his car and plays a tape for learning to speak French. The phrase he learns by heart is, "Please don't hurt me, I'm just a tourist." If you consider this silly and pathetic, you should walk around the modern Paris Center and see what kind of people inhabit there. Learn it the hard way. On his job, Casey tries to small talk with 3 coworkers in the break room but does it as awkwardly as possible. Relatable. When the boys learn that Casey is an accountant who audits their expenses, they tell him to get lost. Classic colleagues. That's why I quit my office job in 3 days. But here's what I learned during my working days. Just whine about being tired and waiting for a Friday to booze out in a strip club and colleagues will like you. Only if they're male. If they're female, you're doomed. Casey finds a sussy magazine on his colleague's desk and copies it. Yep, that's how we used to get free not safe for work content back in the old days. Casey lives at home with nobody but his hot doggy. He sees that the dog is out of food. On his way to the pet store to buy food, he is approached by 2 men on a motorcycle. One of them is asking if he has a gun. Bro, it's a trap. Tell them you have an AK-47 in your pants. As far as me, it's more like a mini Uzi. Casey later walks home with the food when the men on the motorcycle plus a few other assailants start chasing him before they catch him and beat him unconscious. Casey wakes up in the hospital after his mugging. He gets home and hears a message from his boss, Grant, who says Casey can take off as much time as he needs. Grant even suggests Casey should visit France as he's always wanted. Too soon? You can't even carry a gun in France, but this doesn't stop the locals. Instead of France, Casey devours local booze and local sussy things. The doggy has to eat his spaghetti because Casey is too afraid to go outside. The Stone Age was indeed hard without Uber Eats. After watching a gangster movie, he feels compelled to buy a gun. He goes to a gun store and tries to buy a handgun. However, he must go through the background check and waiting period before getting it. The seller warns Casey that gun owners are more compelled to suicide and are more likely to get killed during a robbery. That's what the Democrats say. While walking around town, Casey passes by a karate dojo. He enters and watches as the sensei teaches his class full of more geeks, just like Casey. Sensei incorporates karate into every facet of his life. He even speaks about doing grocery shopping with karate moves. Sick. Always knew there was another level to those karate practitioners. They always seem to be from another planet. After the lesson, Casey talks to Sensei and asks if he can join. Sensei invites him to the next day's class for a free trial to see for himself. Casey comes tomorrow and meets Anna, the only female dojo member with a brown belt who gives kids classes. She demonstrates a sleeper hold on a child. It works like a charm and the kid passes out. At least we know it's not bullshido. Anna talks with Casey and immediately scolds him for wearing shoes on the mat. Love those white karate gurus who take their karate moves more severe than their students. Great teachers indeed. Casey walks into the dressing room to learn the first gotchi lessons from the local students. He meets Henry, who teaches him the karate essentials, how to tie down your belt, belt colors, and other weeb stuff. Friendly guy though. During Casey's first lesson, he's taught how to punch with his feet. He spars with another student, Kenneth, who knocks Casey off his feet on the first try. Love the style. Learn it the hard way or die. Something like that. Casey acts like a good girl on prom night, but still manages to land a good punch kick here and there. Casey is astonished and immediately signs in. Later, the gunman calls him, sharing great news. His paperwork is ready, so Casey can grab his gun. But Casey doesn't need a gun anymore. Now his arms are knives and his feet are shotguns. That leg kick hit him hard, I guess. But it looks like Casey is a great learner. Sensei appreciates his dedication. Meanwhile, the boss calls Casey, leaving a message saying that Casey hasn't been at work for 2 months. He keeps getting a paycheck, so why bother? At this point, Casey got all in addicted. He wears his kimono 24/7 while watching Jackie Chan movies. Just alpha male things. It's a promotion day. Henry shares with Casey that he'll be promoted to black belt today. He also says there are special night classes for black belts because black means night. That might be a bit of a misinterpretation, but who knows. Sensei takes a moment to share with his students a story about the dojo's late grandmaster who was killed after being shot. A hunter with a shotgun has mistaken the grandmaster for a bird. Classic South Central LA casualty. This is why Sensei believes that people who use guns are weak. Don't want to sound like a snob here, but guns kill people more effectively. But let's pretend karate is cool, just for the lesson's sake. By the way, the grandmaster was the only person to wear the rainbow belt. The belt he created himself. The highest honor of all karate. It's a sign that he's defeated all genders that exist, I guess. Sensei shares that the grandmaster achieved it by killing 3 other grandmasters with a signature move, by pushing his index finger through a skull. Sensei does a promotion ceremony, upgrading Casey to a yellow belt. The ceremony finishes without Henry getting anything. Poor Henry mentions it, so Sensei gives it to Thomas. Sorry, Henry, not your day. At last, Casey gets back to work, although all he can think of is his karate lessons. He only buys yellow groceries. That's the self-respectful man dedicated to honoring his achievements. After buying groceries, Casey returns to his car to see some jerk in a pickup truck door-bang his car. When Casey confronts the man about it, the man intimidates him and knocks the groceries out of his bag. Casey drives home crying. Not so shameless in the 24th century, bro. It's a hard life after 36 years. Get used to it. Later on, Sensei notices Casey performing less active than before. They talk in Sensei's office where Casey brings up the mugging and how he is terrified of men larger than him and wants to become that which intimidates him. Sensei teaches Casey how to become mentally brutal, listen to metal, and instead of dreaming of visiting France, visit Russia or Germany. Strong and tough countries. You should love this dude's approach. Straight to the point, direct instructions, not those believe in yourself type of crap. Casey also gets invited to the night classes. He's a special boy. Nice. Casey takes the advice literally. He becomes aggressive towards strangers, learns German, and punches his boss in the throat after he invites Casey to have dinner with him and his wife, saying he'd rather choke the chicken while thinking of his wife. Oof, that's tough. But we haven't seen the boss's wife yet. Maybe it was understandable. Casey also insults his colleagues before appearing to get them on his side, and instantly gets fired. But what a story to remember. Casey goes to the night classes. Henry comes, although he was not invited. A bad boy. He also thinks Casey betrayed him by showing up without telling him. Yep, that's what karate dedication does to us. The belt is more important than friends. Sensei has Henry go up for a demonstration and Sensei brutally snaps Henry's arm with the elbow. Whoa, that escalated quickly. Instead of taking his belt, Sensei considers it better to take his arm. So, police? Anyone? Alright. Casey is a quick learner. He smashes his buddy's tooth quickly. In another instance, Anna spars with Thomas and puts him in a headlock. The boy taps, but Anna is too jelly of him getting a black belt before him. She gets him unconscious and smashes his face. You deserve it. Okay, these night classes remind me of a certain fight club for some reason. Sensei sends Anna off. After the training, it's cool down time. Everyone gets in their birthday suit and does stretches with each other. Oh nice, I've seen a movie with precisely the same premise. Casey goes to cool off with Sensei. Told ya, special boy. Casey enters the maintenance room, which is also Anna's changing room, and she's the one to give him a massage. Score. That's how you break the ice. Casey made himself a yellow belt to wear as casual clothes. He had to order a minimum of 50, so he brought it to the sensei. Is that a strange bribe out here? Now everyone can wear a karate belt with casual clothes. They could only dream about it. Sensei is exceptionally honored and offers a job as an accountant to Casey. Nice. Now he can spend twice as much time in the academy. Sensei later calls Casey to tell him that he has spotted one of the bikers that attacked him. How did he spot him? Apparently, the guy has a motorcycle, and that's it. He meets Sensei at a bar and is immediately ordered to punch the crap out of him. Casey follows the drunk man to a parking garage. He hits the man in the stomach. The poor fella falls and smashes his head on the pavement, causing it to bleed. Alcohol kills, they say. Guess they were right. Sensei comes out recording the incident. That's for documenting his growth, Sensei says. Saucy. Casey then takes the man's keys and sees that he is riding a regular bicycle. Well, what are the odds? Casey runs away in horror. When he gets home, he finds his poor pup on the floor, unconscious. He takes him to the vet, but the doctor tells Casey the dog died. The one good character in this story. Oh boy. Apparently someone kicked the poor doggy in its ribs. However, blood was found on his teeth, meaning he bit whoever attacked him. Who was it? Definitely Mr. Sensei. Casey goes back to the dojo and shows off by breaking all the rules, eating, drinking, and wearing shoes on the mat. Whoa, the boy goes all in. He tries to piss off the sensei and accuses him of killing his pup. Sensei denies the accusations, hinting that Casey did what he wanted to, beat the crap out of an innocent man just to get off on someone for being mugged. He also reminds us that it's all recorded. Casey attacks Sensei but gets beaten. No yellow belt can beat a black one. That's what we've definitely learned today. Casey returns to his accounting job and Sensei promotes him to a full-time job, giving him the kids' class. He shares that Anna will never become a black belt because her being a woman stops her from being a man. Well, you got a point there, mister. Casey goes for another night class where Sensei brings him, Anna, Thomas, and Kenneth out for a motorcycle run. That escalated quickly. So that was the gang that attacked Casey. Ghost Riders go on a manhunt. Casey rides with Anna, who approaches a stranger. Casey says they don't have to do this, but Anna says they must, or Sensei will kill them. Turns out, the guy was an undercover cop. He shoots Anna in the leg. Casey immediately reacts, using his karate to kick the pistol out of his hands and attack him. The boy doesn't stop. He slams the cop's head against a fire hydrant. The motorcycle gang leaves before the cops arrive at the place. Sensei scolds Anna for not asking the man if he had a gun, just like the ones that mugged Casey. Sensei tells Casey he has earned a red stripe on his belt for taking a life. We thought red stripes were for instructors because Anna and Sensei have those. Well, it turns out their cult is much more dangerous. That's why you're better off joining boxing classes, kids. Casey gives Anna a ride home. She tells him that when she started out in the dojo, she held back because men never took her seriously as a woman. The champion at the time attacked her in the dressing room and she strangled him to death with his own belt. She thanks Casey for taking her home, but tells him not to return to the dojo. Yeah, dude, you better change class. Maybe a city or even a country. This ain't Karate Kid anymore. Before getting home, Casey spots a car of the guy who bullied him in a parking lot and takes revenge. On a car, not a guy. Because all we do here is kill innocent people, eventually. Casey rides home and sees a German Shepherd. The note on the floor says, "Be an alpha or the dog will rip your throat out." But our boy here is Sigma male material, judging by what he'll do next. Casey goes to the dojo for some investigations. He discovers that the dojo has a crematorium. There are also tapes, including one of Casey's mugging. If some of you aren't following, it confirms that Sensei, Anna, and Thomas were the ones who attacked Casey, with Thomas knocking him out and wanting the red stripe, but Anna stopping him from finishing Casey. I guess it was all Sensei's plan to turn Casey into a man, get brutal, or die trying. In the morning, Sensei finds Henry's body, having been hanged by his own belt. Casey also saw it the night before. Sensei throws it into the crematorium. Casey approaches Sensei the next day and tells him he will kill him, not because Sensei is blackmailing other former students into paying membership fees long after they leave, or because he has made a moto gang that beat the hell out of him, but because he hates Sensei and wants him to stop breathing. Understandable. He also calls him by his real first name, Leslie, just to provoke him, especially since he mocked Casey for having a feminine sounding name. Ha, got him good. Sensei smells some flame going from someone's pants and, feeling like it's a sudden barbecue time, offers Casey a black belt. You can skip all of the rainbow colors because that's how karate works. Casey challenges Leslie to a duel to the death, which Sensei is confident he will win. The two suit up and bow. Are you ready for an epic fight? Casey isn't. He pulls out a gun and shoots Sensei's head. Oh look, he bought the gun after all. Casey then delivers two specific quotes he wanted to say after killing Sensei. Although weapons make you weaker, he killed Sensei, meaning he's stronger. And he didn't play by the rules because there were no rules. He then sticks his finger in the bullet wound. And let me add another quote. Even if you're a self-confident psychopath, there's always a dude who's much more fed up than you. Word. Casey shows Sensei's body to the students during the night class. He tells them that he killed Sensei with the finger punch technique that the Grandmaster supposedly knew. Then, he demands the students to hold out their hands. He sees bite marks on Thomas's wrist. That was the butthole who killed the pup. This dude deserves a punishment. Casey brings in the German Shepherd and commands it in German. The dog proceeds to rip out Thomas's throat. That's for my doggy brother, you sick bastard. Casey then gives Anna the black belt and puts her in charge of the dojo, where she promises to display a more compassionate form of fighting. Meanwhile, Casey goes on to teach the kids. Some wise words for you parents out there. Check the guy teaching your kids karate classes. Chances are, he's a sick criminal psychomaniac. Moral of the story? This had nothing to do with Mike Tyson.